Good evening, council members, parish president. I want to introduce myself to those that don't know me. I'm Louis Martinez. I run the Geographic Information Systems Office, and basically we handle all the surveying and mapping for the parish. We're one of the smaller departments in the parish. We just hired an administrative assistant this year, which brings our total up to 5, including me. So I put a couple slides together to just describe real quick what GIS is, but we centralize all the information pertaining to the parish in one location in the database that's located downstairs in the server room. And we host all the information pertaining to public works, waterworks, wastewater, planning and zoning, and we do provide mapping capabilities as needed, like for community services and all. So we do serve quite a bit of the departments in the parish. I'd say probably 8 of them on a daily basis. What that allows us to do is that anytime a street is added or an address is added, you don't no longer have to go in and ask plan and zoning for a street, or everybody has access to the information that's hosted from one place, and they're able to access it from their desktop via a web-based GIS application or some other software that they use. So all the data is accessible by the residents as well as the parish itself. So in 2019, I'm just going to go over a couple of projects that we had. It was kind of a rebuilding year. Not only did we move out of the courthouse, we moved into a new office that's located across the street in the old government buildings location. And we ended up upgrading the software and the hardware for the entire system. And unfortunately, it's not like installing PowerPoint on a computer. It's a pretty tedious process where you have to configure systems that integrate with multiple servers and the firewall, antivirus systems and everything. So it's a pretty complex system, which takes a little bit of trial and error when you got a lot of new security threats and everything that's coming around the parish. So it took a little while to get to where we're at right now. But one of the selling points to the council before is that we hadn't updated the software probably since 2011, because the old software did what we needed it to do, and it is pretty pricey. It's like $40K a year for it. So we're trying to save money on that, so we didn't update it since then. But there's been quite a bit of changes in those 7-8 years, so it was much needed. There's a lot of different capabilities that GIS is actually really. You can expand it into many different disciplines and other things you can do with the information that's hosted through the server, but it's all limited on the knowledge and the technology that you do have. One of the other things that we did do is also revamp the web services, because we get a lot of calls about where's my elevation certificate, or what's my zoning, or who owns this parcel of land. We know that the assessor has that information, but ours is a little integrated where it has multiple layers of information. So it has the zoning and flood zones, everything all in one. It's a one-stop shop. So the residents have access to all that via a web portal. For 2020, we're gonna be a little ambitious for starting out with a new administration. We're gonna for the foreseeable future, we're going to really, like I said, become a little ambitious, where we're actually mapping out all the servitudes and easements for the parish, and that requires a lot of digging, paperwork, legal descriptions, and everything, going through property information, going out, trekking across residents' property, looking for iron rods, surveying, and putting pieces of a puzzle together. So it's I can't say how long it's going to take, but I think we started about 2 months ago, and we might have got like 10 of them done, 10 to 20 of them. So it's pretty tedious. Another thing that we're working on is a couple years ago, we launched what we're calling a resident problem reporter, where they can submit issues related to garbage cans or street lights. Now this was built probably 5-6 years ago, and now with new software and there's a lot of new technology out there that we've cleaned it up a good bit and are able to really make it a lot easier for residents to identify things on the ground, on the map, or through a web phone instead of having to log into a computer. So the next step is, consolidate everything into an app where they can download it maybe via the App Store or the Parish website, and they can report everything through the phone. And then somebody at like the contract monitor's office is able to keep the residents in the loop via a dashboard or a portal that they can go in and notify the residents when their request is being processed or when it's completed. The other thing too, we started building around Hurricane Barry, and I just got a slide to show what it would look like. But in collaboration with the EOC, right now, that when they get a call in from a resident, they type it in and it just goes into like a database. There's no visual component to it. So during an emergency response, we're saying, well, it'd be really nice to know, like the council member can log in or look at a screen or a map and say, oh, well, this is what's going on in my district. We got X amount of trees down, power lines down, et cetera, and it's all very visual. All that's going to be stored in a FEMA format where, let's say, post-storm, we need to send that to FEMA through the grants office. We can just export it, and it's in a format that FEMA will accept it and take it from there. The other thing that we want to start doing is, as I was explaining to a couple people yesterday, that more people are starting to rely on maps. If you're on your phone, how to get to here, click on something that shows you how to get there. Well, with the maps that we have now that show where all the water lines, the wastewater lines, the drainage, all that, people are starting to rely on that so heavily that they're using the map to just go and say, hey, well, here's a water line, flag it, and it could cause a lot of problems if they just solely rely on that, because the accuracy of that is just, it's not as good if you're just looking at it on your phone. You need to probe it and identify it. So we've had a couple close calls with that, and what we're wanting to do is, and the council approved to get a couple more people to help with this, is as the locators go out for the different departments, they dig up a line, a water line, we'll go and GPS it, and we mark it as verified. So 10 years down the road, we can come back exactly to that right point and with that, kind of make it a little more efficient, streamline that process to say, well, we know that water line's 6 feet under this exact point, and they can probe for it and find it. Make it a lot more efficient than having to dig around, who knows where. We've had to go several times. We've had to dig several spots. It takes several hours to locate a valve, a water line, or something, and the GPS might show it here, but they didn't probe it. So we're not taking advantage of those people, the crews digging things up and going marking it, because we just don't have the staff for it yet. So that's what we want to go ahead and do in the upcoming months. It's going to staff up a little bit so we can start working with this process with the Dottie crews and the line locators from the various departments. And so this is just a screenshot of what the dashboard looks like. I put this together. This is just an example of what we had for Hurricane Barry, and it's just a web accessible map that, and this is just a baseline version of it, but I have it where it's working similar closely right now, where you can log in, like a council member could log in and go see just what's in their district. They don't care about anything else. They can click on it and see what's going on in their district, export it, and it shows, like, as things are being received, the little numbers on the sides are being updated. It'll say, problems, here's how many were received today, here's how many received total, here's how many are in progress or completed. So it just makes it it's a visual to go along with what's going on in the communications room in the EOC. So that's, we're going to expand on that, hopefully, and there's a lot. I've met with them a couple of times and seen what they want, and we have to address that, but it's a lot of developing that goes behind this. And this is just an example of what the resident reporter looks like on the back end. It's not the app. I tested the app the other day and it works, but this will be the management end where the contract monitor could go in and say, hey, I received your request, it's in process, and it notifies the resident, sends them an email, and just keeps them in a loop. And things start showing up on the map, like different colors, like, it's red if it's received, green if it's in progress or completed, et cetera. So that's kind of where we're going. We're just cleaning up a lot of stuff. Hopefully, we put a lot of things together, and in the future, we want to just clean them up and make them look a little, make them easier to use, So, and that's, I think, all I have. If y'all happen to have any questions.
Thank you, Louis. Council discussion, Ms. Perrier?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Louis, I just want to say thank you. You're always ready and willing anytime we have something that we need to address the residents' needs in the way of GIS programs. As some of you know, we recently passed a no-throw ordinance, and Louis, you were instrumental in creating the program. It's very user-friendly, super easy, so any resident out there that doesn't want unsolicited newspapers in their driveway can go to the parish website, click a couple of buttons, enter a little bit of info, and it'll put a stop to it. So, Louis, you made a really, really great program there. Your resident problem reporter, I know you have a lot of really innovative things for each resident to use for different problems, different issues, and to address our needs. I see that in the near future, as you mentioned, you'll collaborate all these things together, combine them, and I think that we're really ahead of where many, many parishes are because of the stuff that you do. So,
Well,
I appreciate it.
Yeah, one of the things that the old version, it's really, we went around and numbered all the light poles, but since the old version of the software doesn't allow me to put addresses on it, doesn't allow me to put numbers on the light poles, so you can see the dots, but you can't tell, oh, that's a light pole. So we had to kind of play with it, but the new version's got the number, so it's a lot easier. It uses your location to zoom to where you're at. It's on the phone, so it's so much easier to use. So it's gonna, I think in the future, it's gonna be something the residents would really, a lot of them report streetlights and garbage cans, so that's where this kind of came from. So.
Well, we appreciate it and looking forward to more to come. Thank you.
We'll get your stuff finished. We had a security risk on our server, but everything's working.
It's almost there, I know. We just passed the ordinance. I mean, you moved really quickly
Well,
on
it
it.
worked.
So.
They can report things, but I have an address verification feature, so if somebody in St. John, or Jefferson can't submit a request through our stuff. So that's down right now because of the risk that we have on our server.
Okay.
And that's the only part of it that doesn't work. So.
Good deal. Appreciate it.
But I fixed it. It works for now. So.
Ms. Cluley?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. What offices are currently using your problem reporter? Do you have to, once something comes up, it goes to their office or it goes to your office and then you?
No, the contract monitor is using it. I don't see it.
Oh, you don't do anything with it? So
no, it's like I said, it's just right now the residents log into a website and they create you create a username password to log in because we don't want just anybody submitting stuff. And so once they create their username and password, their email, all that they enter their information, all that goes into a database, and when they select a street light or enter their address for their garbage can request, it goes straight to the contract monitor's office. It's on their app, and she gets an email saying you got a new request or whatever. It's all managed. I haven't opened it in months. I don't know, but it's all handled on that end. And from there, you can run different reports and saying, filters like from this date to this date, we had the X amount of requests for garbage cans or street light issues in this district, and that. I mean, so it's pretty flexible.
So it goes through their office, and so they get the problem and they update the corrective action. All right, thank you.
Yeah, it's all handled. It's all on the website, and like I said, it's a little clunky because it is like 5-6 years old. But the new version of it is going to be a lot cleaner and faster. So, and this is going to be straight another website too. It doesn't even come through me at all. So.
Any other council discussion? Mr. Martinez, that's very interesting. We appreciate you, man.
Thanks, Mr. Gibbs. All right.
All right.